We have a crazy amount of content on launch week of MLB The Show 26, and I feel like I can't be the only one who's a little bit overwhelmed just with figuring out the best way to be spending all of our time grinding the game. So we're working through everything as efficiently as we can, and we can quickly begin building out a really solid team. Now, there's a couple different areas where I think it makes sense to start off. First, if you wanted to, you could start off with the player programs. You could do kind of these moments right away, like with this one right here. There's literally just one moment, easy one to do, one mission, which is just hit a home run, and you can get a free diamond player off rip. Otherwise, there's also this Travis Hafner card right here, 20,000 XP. Some packs, pretty good value, and a decent card. Some easy moments, and then a couple easy missions. It'll just take you maybe a couple games or whatever it is to finish off all the missions here, and then you just have a few moments to do as well. I also think it's worth mentioning that the starter program actually has a fair amount of XP in here too, and it's obviously super easy to do. I would actually probably come back to this a couple days after you're grinding, though, because, you have a couple moments, you have an exchange right here, but these collections right here are a decent chunk of the starter program, and after you grind for a couple days, open up some packs, you should have those that you can complete easily right there. Now, the other spot where I think it might make the most sense to start off would be the WBC Showdown right here. 10 program points, and as you'll notice, it isn't just this program that you get it in, the 10 points in. It is all 4 of the World Baseball Classic programs. You just have to complete the showdown once, and you get 10 points within all of the programs. And getting 10 points in the program allows you to pick up the first player in each of those programs. Plus, from each showdown moment you beat, you get that pitcher as a reward. So just by completing each showdown moment and completing the showdown, you get a total of 9 World Baseball Classic gold or better cards between that and then the program as well. And the reason I bring up these World Baseball Classic programs is the final couple player rewards, the last 2 to 3 in each of these, are high 80 overall players. So like if you finish off all 4 of these programs, you just basically get an entire team of high 80 overalls. So I really think that just being able to knock out these programs early on is going to be massive. And yes, it's going to be tedious to work through all of these missions and to keep track of everything you need to be working towards, but it should be worth it. If you still wanted a few more World Baseball Classic players to fill out the rest of your team, you could also do some of the moments in the programs, and you will get some XP by doing this as well. I think, 20, it's 4,000, and if you keep going, you'll get a little bit more too, but that'll allow you to pick up some more cards to help just fill out the rest of your team. But once you have a full team, then of these cards, I would highly recommend doing the WBC mini season. Now, before you jump into your mini season, come into the missions within these programs once again and just figure out, what you need to do with each of these cards while you're grinding through these games, because being able to earn, more of these program rewards while grinding mini seasons and earning the mini season specific rewards just makes a ton of sense to do together. And so just make a note, whatever you have to do to remember what you need to complete within these missions. Go ahead and do that. And then when you start the mini season up, I would select, you get a choice between 3-inning or 9-inning games. I would just select 3 innings. And then you begin by choosing a team in the field that your team will now replace. So in mine right here, I chose to replace the US because they were in a weak-looking pool, at least by their overalls. And that way I can avoid playing the US later in the mini season as well. And really all you need to do within here is, if you don't know, you have to play your 4 pool games. And then assuming you are in the top 2 of your pool, you will advance to the quarterfinals. And then if you keep winning, you will have 3 more games until you are the champ. So in total, it will be just 7 games, all 3-inning games if you choose that, for you to complete this mini season. And then looking at the goals within mini season right here, you get player cards. You get the Bregman for completing just 7 games. You get an 88 overall Bregman plus repeatable. Make note of this. Repeatable for winning the championship. You do get 10 packs plus that Ballin' is a Habit pack, and then the Bregman too. But then just keep a note also of the other goals in here. PXP, runs with any players. That's a repeatable one. 71 hits with players gets you 10 packs. A save, you can do that each season with the WBC player. 200 hits with any players gets you a deluxe World Baseball Classic pack. So just make a note of that. You kind of want to focus on that. Those goals along with all the missions you have that you're working on in the programs. After completing the mini season, I'm sure you guys still will have some missions in the WBC programs to knock out. So it's up to you where you want to kind of finish this off. Conquest is one option. You get a Scooble card there. You get a Seiya Suzuki final reward, 88 overall as well, and some other packs along the way, obviously. Or, there's other options, a different option, whatever you want to do. But I might come back to the World Baseball Classic mini season because, as we saw before, each time you win the championship, it's repeatable. You get 11 packs, you get the 10 standard packs, and then you get the 1 Ballin' pack. So you could possibly be farming some packs and some PXP missions by doing it this way. So at least for me, I just really like the idea of knocking out all of these WBC programs for all of these high 80 overall diamond players that I've mentioned, but all the other rewards too. Like you get a ton of XP, you get some packs and other stuff in here. And then, that XP will help towards the XP path players, which there's some decent players in the XP path as well. The other offline mode worth talking a little bit about is Diamond Quest, because last year this was a huge stub maker and helped probably a lot of you finish off some of the collections. Now, right now, the prices let's take a look at the prices on these cards, because the prices on the 86s, like, for example, the Bob Gritch card, he's going for about 5,000. Now, if you put in a sell order for him. The 88s, like the Bob Feller, you could put in a sell order for like 15,000. So this actually isn't bad value to grind at this moment, I don't think. But if prices on these cards continue to crash each day, I may have some different thoughts and opinions about it. But and before you start any Diamond Quest run, I always recommend checking the prices on the rewards that you might go for. And eventually I should have another Diamond Quest video out, so I won't go into a ton of depth on Diamond Quest and the best way to go about this, but I think where prices are at now, it is a pretty good stub grinding method. So something else online, so we're kind of shifting our focus to online at this moment, that I think has a ton of value is the WBC Moonshot event. And I know online is not for everyone, but even if you normally don't play a lot of online, I think I would consider, if I were you guys, playing this event, because it just has a ton of value. So some easy missions in here, hits, only 3Ks, 5 extra base hits, some runs, total bases, right? All of this, and I think you can still skip 1 or 2 of these with still getting up and, completing the program. And for doing that, you get, a bunch of XP, you get 10,000, you get a pack, and you get 88 overall Bryce Terang. And keep in mind with this event, it's Moonshot, so you can use any hitters, and you're facing common or bronze pitchers, so it shouldn't be too bad. And for, grinding out this event, you also get progress in the multiplayer program. Each win, you get 3,000 points towards the multiplayer program. And then, you obviously have some of these other missions as well in here that can give you even more progress. And my plan basically is, like, if I win 5 event games, I'm going to finish the event program, and I'll get about, 15,000 progress in the multiplayer program from playing that. And simply by doing that, I will get all those rewards I mentioned from the event program, but on top of that, I'll get another 15,000 XP, I'll get 10 packs, and I'll get this switch-hitting Ketel Marte card, who I always love his card every year in Diamond Dynasty, so I think this just has a ton of value, between the program and between both of the programs, right? The multiplayer program and then the Bryce Terang program as well. And you can continue while grinding this event to work on some of those PXP missions from some of the other programs as well while you grind this event if you wanted to. And just at a later point in time, probably when more multiplayer program missions drop, I likely will come back and play a little bit more online to get some more of those packs and XP from the multiplayer program. That's just how I plan on attacking it. Now, if we're talking about the time in between all of the grinding you're doing and all the games you're playing and all of that, I would definitely recommend taking some time, especially after opening up some packs, for you guys to go through your inventory, especially this first week or so, and just clean it out. And, I just like to sell pretty much everything, random jerseys, sponsorships. I've actually sold, you'll notice a lot of my inventory is just completely empty, and I've done that already. I've went through and I've sold a bunch of stuff. Anything that, there's so much stuff that just holds value because it's so early on in the year and the market has not settled. And you combine that with other ways to be grinding for stubs, and you can kind of be working towards those higher overall Live Series Diamond cards, because their prices are going to, they're just going to keep shooting up after that first week. So I definitely, if you are kind of someone who's focused on the Live Series collection, I would just try to go hard for stubs early on and pick up some of those expensive Live Series cards here this first week or so, because I do think we're going to see those prices climb back up at some point and kind of steady out. And at some point soon, I will have some more videos out about other good stub grinding methods that we find and the best way to be working towards completing, collections such as the Live Series collection. Otherwise, that's everything I would be focused on grinding for the first week. We went over it all. Make sure to pay attention to the channel, though, because as I said, we're going to have more videos here on the way. Whenever we discover any good stub methods, whenever there's any big updates, we'll have all of that info right here. But that's really it for the video. I appreciate all of you guys for sticking around to the end and watching this one. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.